What is going on, YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we are getting another piece of the offseason puzzle. One of the biggest questions of this whole offseason so far, once it was announced that Jankos was going to be parting ways with G2, was, half that's where is Jankos going to be next season. But I think for a lot of people, the bigger question was, who is the new jungler of G2 going to be? We've heard a couple different names thrown out, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about exactly what the future of G2 has in store. But first, a word from today's sponsor, which is, of course, Prize Picks. This is daily fantasy made easy. You can make selections on your favorite sports, esports, teams, players, all the stuff that you follow, know, and love already. And, of course, they are offering some picks for the League of Legends championships, worlds, the finals today, and here are some of the picks I'm looking at potentially making. Gumayusi, less than 15 kills in the first 3 games. I think this is going to be a tight back and forth series, and 15 just seems like a lot of kills for me. And then I'm taking Zika, more than 9 kills in the first 3 games. Zika has been an absolute anime main character throughout World so far, so I can't pick against him here. If you guys want to make some picks here, check out the first link in the description below, where Prize Picks are going to match your first deposit up to $100. With that being said, let's get right into it. The big news today, Wooloo was the first, I do believe, I know Alejandro put it out like maybe a minute or two after him or something, but Wooloo put this out. Sources, he actually says Elyoya was the first option for G2 Esports in the jungle. However, they couldn't secure the player as Mad Lions had denied an offer of $800,000. So this is crazy, because this is the first big rumor that we've been hearing the whole time was, oh, G2's getting rid of Jankos. They're probably going to go after somebody big. They're not going to replace Jankos with just anybody. They're not going to replace Jankos with, a guy that's not going to be really, really strong. Because, some people are like, oh, Marcoon, or some people, I don't know, we're throwing some of these names around that didn't necessarily make a lot of sense, because Jankos, even though he wasn't like one of the best junglers in the world last season, like he had maybe been at some points in his career, he was still one of the better junglers in the LEC. He still has great synergy with Caps. He's still a guy who can play around lanes who need a lot of attention and need a lot of resources. And yeah, he's getting up there in age, and yeah, he's talked about not wanting to play for very much longer in his career and all this stuff, so maybe they want to get somebody with a brighter future or more potential or whatever, but I don't know. People were expecting them to go after Elyoya, and that name was thrown around, but man, the fact that Mad Lions denied an offer of $800,000, that's a little bit crazy. And if you're Elyoya and you were looking to leave Mad Lions and maybe even looking to go to G2 or something like that, that's got to be a little bit frustrating, because $800,000, especially over in Europe where the salaries historically aren't as crazy as in the LCS, this is a little bit weird and a little bit rough. And you hear about G2, and Carlos getting crap all the time about putting players in contract jail or asking insane buyouts or whatever. I don't know, once you start getting closer and closer to 7 figures just as the buyout, not even the salary that G2 would then also have to pay Elyoya on top of that, it gets a little crazy. And I do wish that players had more, buyouts negotiated into their contracts and stuff like this, because especially at a time where player salaries are kind of peaking, if not decreasing across the world, as budgets are kind of decreasing and stuff, as we head into, tough economic times globally. The fact that these kind of bouts are still being thrown around, I don't know, is really, really rough, especially at a time where the West isn't even performing internationally right now. I don't know. So this was crazy. Elyoya, G2 wanted Elyoya to replace Jankos, but they weren't able to get a deal done there. So who is their jungler going to be? We have this, and I believe his name is Yike. I've tried to ask, is it like Yike? Is it Yike? And it sounds like people are telling me it is Yike. Will complete G2 esports roster for next year, and Wooloo saying he will complete the G2 roster next year does seem like that Broken Blade will be staying in the top lane. I know that there was some rumored and speculation about BB maybe going to another team, but again, Wooloo says here complete the G2 roster, replacing Jankos in the jungle. Yike was LDLC's jungler. This was the best team in the LFL in the spring and summer. I believe they ultimately ended up winning both LFL titles. Yike won 2 LFL championships this year. They didn't win EU Masters either year. Obviously in the spring, we had K-Corp going on the run that they went on and ended up winning it, even though K-Corp wasn't the best team in the LFL during the regular season or playoffs. And then in the summer, LDLC was the best team again. I think they lost 3-2 to Heretics in the EU Masters finals. So LDLC was one of the better ERL teams in both splits. And Yike was a rookie in the ERLs. His first year in the ERLs, very, very crazy as a jungler for LDLC. Just really, really strong showing from him overall. Some people see him as one of the best prospects, maybe the top prospect coming out of the ERLs right now. There's some other really strong names like Exakick and Jack Spectra and, some other guys that people are really, really excited about. But Yike is definitely seen as a good one, and apparently he's going to be the next G2 jungler next year. We've also heard a couple of different other things. Eros tweeted out this. He says, although people think Mad Lions has jailed Elyoya, I think think that the Mad roster will be much more interesting at the end of the year than G2. And Eros also said this: at some point, a potential trade between Elyoya and Jankos was very close to being done, but in the end, the numbers didn't fit for both teams. And we also had Alejandro kind of confirming this. Yike reached a verbal agreement with G2. He'll be the jungler of G2 next year, 2023. Pretty crazy news. Now we know G2's next jungler. The offseason's still heating up, though. Plenty of questions out there. Plenty of huge names on the market. We'll have to see what happens next. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. Peace.